We were girls and young women who were victimized by Epstein and Maxwell in a skate ring.
I know there are videos and photos. I know that Jeffrey had recording cameras in his house.
Powerful people who caused us harm are being protected and we're being exposed. It is meant to silence us.
To jail, straight to jail. For questioning at least Erika. Look, I have seen enough, ladies and gentlemen. I've seen enough. Erika Kirk should be dragged into a police precinct for questioning. Like I said, you can show me the person who disagrees with me on that. After I will reveal to you what we can now confirm, you can show me that individual and I will show you a full-blown fraud. That's the only people that would disagree with that assessment. I said to my team this morning that the amount of evidence that is now piling up, I would say against Erika Kirk, is almost akin to an NBC Dateline episode, except it's actually more simplified than that. Like Dateline, that show is way too complicated.
For years, Erika Kirk's name just floated on the edges of the Epstein talk. Easy to ignore, easy to brush off like it meant nothing. People would see it pop up here and there and just keep scrolling. No big reaction, no real pressure. Then suddenly, a major name dropped into the mix and everything flipped fast. The second Ellen DeGeneres got tied into that same story, the whole vibe changed. People stopped calling it street talk and started asking real questions about what actually went down on that island. Now it hits different, because if there's really nothing going on, why does it look like Erika is the one getting nervous? Once Ellen DeGeneres got dragged back into the Epstein conversation, people started looking at Erika in a whole new way. Before that, her name stayed buried in forums, random comment sections, old clips, nothing strong enough to stick or cause a real reaction. It was all easy to ignore. But the moment Ellen's name started popping up next to Epstein again, people doubled back and started connecting dots, and things got real uncomfortable real quick. Ellen was not just some random celebrity floating in the background either. She had clear ties to Sean Diddy Combs. Not just casual run-ins, but repeated appearances, inside jokes, public praise that felt way too close for comfort. Back then, it all looked like harmless entertainment. Nothing serious, just celebrities joking around on screen. But now people are going back and watching those same moments with a whole different mindset, and it is not landing the same at all. Diddy has not been officially called out the way other big names like Jay-Z have, but that has not stopped people from putting pieces together from private parties, tight guest lists, and in controlled environments that never saw the public eye. These were the kind of spaces where phones vanished and whatever happened stayed locked in the room. No leaks, no recordings, no outside noise. And once people started accepting that those spaces were real, the questions got heavier real fast. Who else was allowed in? Who else had that kind of access? Ellen did not just laugh things off either when Diddy talked about his lifestyle. She gave it a platform and made it seem normal on a huge stage.
Hello, Sean Diddy Combs. How are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, thank you. Do you like being scared? I'm not going to scare you.
Yeah, don't do that.
No, I know. I'm not going to do it. I have to thank you because the last time you were here, you turned me onto Twitter. I knew nothing about Twitter, and now it is so much fun. I'm playing so many games, and I get to give things away and help people out.
Yeah, you get to connect to the people. You get to make sure that they know that you care about them, and it's also you get to hear how they feeling about certain situations, and you get the news quicker than the news gives it to you.
Yeah, no, it's great. So tell me about your birthday party. Am I invited?
Yes, you're definitely invited. I invite you to all my parties. You just haven't seen the show up.
No, well, is it on the East Coast?
Yes.
Well, that's why. Why don't you have one here on the West Coast? Because I work all the time.
Okay, well, maybe I have one at your house.
Where's that? Now, what time would your party start, let's say?
Like 9:30.
Really? That early?
Yeah.
I could make that.
Yeah.
But I could think of you of starting a party at like midnight. Like, what time will it go till?
That's a different type of party, though.
Uh-huh.
It'll go from like 9:30 to like maybe 3 o'clock, 2, 3 o'clock. And then, we have the top 2 floors of the hotel.
Mm-hmm. And then it will carry on there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Then no, I mean the after party.
Mm-hmm. No, I know about them. I'll listen to the music. I've heard that song, After Party. But that was at the Holiday Inn, I think. All right, so, And how old are your kids now? How many kids you have?
I have 6.
6. And how old are they now? Well, you seem youthful. That's why they're
I'm
like,
youthful.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm fertile.
Is that going to be a new thing? Are you going to try to be early?
Yes, I'm trying to be early.
Are you going to be early for my party?
Yes, I am. No.
No.
You know I have to arrive fashionably late.
All right. Not too late, though.
Not too late?
Not too late, please.
What time would you like me there?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
But not too late. Because, you know, once you get there, the party really starts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I got you. I promise you I'm not going to let you down on this big one.
All right,
For
good.
real.
Good.
Your shoes, your feet are going to have blisters. You're going to be dancing so hard.
I can't wait.
At one point, she even gave him a birthday shout-out, calling him nicknames like Cuddle MC and Snuggle, and then brushed it off with, "You do not need to know why," which did not sit right with a lot of people. That is when the talk started heating up, because if Diddy was really moving in those circles and Ellen was right there with him, people could not help but ask, how deep did it all go? So how far apart were those worlds really? And that is where Erika's name slides right back into the spotlight, because her timeline does not sit separate from these environments at all. Long before any polished image or public rebrand, she was already moving through circles built on access, fashion scenes, pageants, media exposure, and high-level networking rooms that most people never even see. These are the kinds of places where powerful figures cross paths quietly. No headlines, no attention, just connections being made behind the scenes. At first glance, it can look like simple ambition, someone climbing the ladder and making the right moves. But when you line it up with everything else people are talking about, it starts to feel a lot more calculated. Like every step had a purpose.
I think I always had that girly girl hidden within me. After being such a tomboy and experiencing that my whole life, it was like, oh, I can curl my hair, I can put on the mascara. I come from a great family that has very amazing genetics, so thanks, Mom and Dad.
And then it gets even messier, because old clips popped back up showing her eagerly pitching herself to designer Diane von Furstenberg. And the same figure linked to Ian. Erika is on camera saying she is adaptable and ready to fit into that wild world. And people are not looking at that the same way anymore. Now people are not just watching those clips, they are breaking them down frame by frame, tone by tone, trying to figure out what was really being said and what was being hinted at. That adaptable line is hitting different now, because it sounds less like ambition and more like someone ready to fit into whatever space gave them access.
The timing in my life is perfect for this opportunity. I'm at a great point, just career-wise, to be able to take on this type of endeavor. And I feel like I have something very unique to offer this whole experience in general. Like I said, I'm very coachable, I'm very trainable. And I'm the type of person that I don't need all the time in the world to get ready. If you say you got to be on a plane in a half hour and you have to pack your stuff and go, I'm on it. I'm kind of like a gypsy. I don't mind. I don't mind living out of a suitcase. I'm used to it, and that's something that I'm okay with. So traveling, I love it. I'm all for it. I'm up for anything. I want to learn. I want to be able to use this opportunity and harness all the things that I can learn from it and be able to just inspire people. Like how cool of a chance it is to be able to work with Diane and her brand.
And once that idea settles in, it raises even more questions about how these circles actually worked behind closed doors. These were not random meetups or casual introductions. These were tight networks where reputation, loyalty, and silence carried serious weight. And so when someone openly talks about being ready to step into that kind of wild world, people start wondering what that really required. It also does not help that the same names keep overlapping in different places, different times, but always within those same elite environments. That pattern is what keeps pulling Erika's name back into the conversation, because the more people connect those dots, the less random it all starts to feel. Then there is that Romania project that keeps popping back up, always presented as humanitarian work, supporting communities, outreach programs, all the right optics on the surface. It sounded clean, positive, and easy to support at first glance. But when people started digging into the details, things did not line up smoothly at all. Records felt incomplete, pages were missing, documentation looked like it was fading out, and some partnerships were never clearly explained, which made people pause and look closer. That is when it stopped feeling like simple charity work. So, because around that same time, the conversation around Epstein's operation started shifting in a big way. People began saying it was never just one man. It was a whole network, working quietly behind the scenes, from recruiters to facilitators to people who moved others into those controlled environments without drawing attention. The picture started looking a lot bigger.
Giving advice to Turning Point, doing all of that at the same time, that's a struggle for me. I can't get there. I don't think she was doing that because I keep not being born yesterday. It's so hard not being born yesterday. Also, if we're asking questions, how is it that Erika is always so tied to Eastern Europe? Why is she just like kind of floating around? Just this girl from Ohio. How does she get linked to Romania and the United States Marines? And today, I should be clear, she presents it as though she was just sending gifts. That's kind of the new thing. Oh, I was just, helping to send Christmas gifts to kids in need in an orphanage. That was it. Organizing gifts being sent, which of course, again, the common sense, that would not require the support of the United States Marines. You can do that right now, today, team. Phone up someone in Romania and ask them for an address and you can send gifts, right? It's expensive to ship. You could probably ground ship that. Her involvement was much more. How do I know? Well, because before the scandal broke and accusations of child trafficking onto the military base, Erika used to claim that she was a bit more involved.
So when Erika's name began showing up in discussions tied to those same types of access points, the questions changed fast. It was no longer just talk. People started focusing on patterns, and then came the moment that pushed everything forward, when reports claimed a judge mentioned her name in connection to Epstein-related proceedings. That moment hit hard, because once a name gets mentioned in a legal setting, even loosely, people stop brushing it off and start paying real attention. It does not automatically prove anything on its own, but it raises the stakes and pulls everything out of the shadows into a much brighter light. From that point on, the conversation shifted again, and people started revisiting everything tied to Erika with a sharper focus. Old appearances, past connections, the environments she moved through, all of it started getting re-examined piece by piece. What once looked like separate moments now started forming a timeline that people could not ignore. And it is that timeline that keeps the pressure building, because the more it gets picked apart, the more people want clear answers. Not guesses, not rumors, but something solid that explains how all these overlapping circles, names, and access points keep showing up in the same story. Nothing has been confirmed publicly, no official statements, no clear proof laid out, but the timing is what made people uneasy. And it all seemed to happen right when Ellen's name started getting pulled back into the conversation again. Right when discussions about leaked details, hidden connections, and resurfaced footage started picking up serious attention, that is when people noticed something else shifting. Ellen stepped away, left the US, and settled in England. The public explanation sounded simple. Politics, personal choice, wanting a fresh start, nothing dramatic on the surface. But when people lined that move up with everything else being talked about, the timing started to feel different. It came right as pressure around Epstein-related files was growing. Right when talk about more names possibly coming out was heating up again. Some pointed out that she publicly supported Kamala, while others noted the political shift after Trump's win. And that added another layer to the speculation. People began asking if it was all just coincidence or something else entirely. Because if new information was about to surface, distance suddenly looks a lot more important.
They're losing their minds.
She sounded so sincere, didn't she?
Very sincere.
Virtually choke on her words. But the best one for me is Ellen DeGeneres, who is, by the way, a very nasty person. I've had dealings with her in Australia. Could I tell you some stories about that cow? But anyway, good riddance to her. But, she was quite friendly with that P. Diddy bloke, wasn't she?
Well, this is why I say release the Diddy files.
Yeah.
Release the Diddy files. Come on, Donald Trump, we want to know whose name.
So maybe she's hightailing out of there before all that is thrown at her as well. But what a bunch of hypocrites.
And this is where the story tightens up, because while Ellen is stepping back and creating space, Erika's name is getting pulled deeper into the spotlight. Mentions, rumors, resurfaced clips, and overlapping connections all started hitting at once, making the situation feel louder and harder to ignore. Now the contrast is what really has people talking. Because while one person creates distance, the other keeps getting pulled closer into the center of it all. That shift is hard to ignore, especially when the same names, places, and timelines keep circling back in different ways. Zesty people are not just reacting to headlines anymore. They are digging into patterns, watching how everything connects. and questioning how these overlaps keep happening. It is no longer about one moment or one clip. It is about a chain of events that seems to keep linking the same circles together. And the more those links get talked about, the more attention builds around Erika's past movements, the environments she had access to, and the people she crossed paths with. None of it stands alone anymore. Everything feels connected in a way that keeps the conversation going stronger. At this point, it is the buildup that is driving everything forward. Because when pieces keep stacking like this, people start expecting answers, and that pressure is not slowing down anytime soon. Then there is that detail that just keeps coming back around, the word pizza. At first, it sounds random, almost ridiculous, something easy to laugh off during interviews, like jokes and casual celebrity conversations. But when people went back and looked through Epstein-related materials, that same word showed up over and over again in emails and exchanges, sometimes heavily redacted with no clear context. And that is when things started feeling off. The frequency did not match the simple explanations people were given, and that is what made others start questioning if it ever meant what it sounded like at all. It stopped feeling like a coincidence and started looking like something people could not easily explain away.
Because I have this crazy idea that I will order pizza, and so if I do, I don't want it to go to waste. Who will eat pizza if I... Jennifer? Yes? Harrison?
Turning the Oscars into an everyone's invited dinner party with dinner.
What do you think? Guess what? Pizza's here. Come on down. Tomato sauce, we have cheese, we have different kinds. Who's hungry? Brad, Angie, yes? Okay. What kind do you want? Cheese, that's a cheese. Cheese. Yeah. Julia wants cheese. Who's your favorite movie star? They're here. Well, who do you want to talk to? Oh, you know Julia Roberts? Have you seen this? Great. Okay, wait a minute, we're gonna run out. Okay, great, okay. Let's go on this side. Okay. Anybody? Leo?
Leo?
You gotta be hungry, no?
I'm not.
Come on, somebody over here? Jared? Yeah. Jared. Jared Leto. He just won an Oscar.
I gotta hook my...
All right. Okay, here you go. Hey, by the way, Harrison, you said you wanted pizza? Okay. Karen? Yes? Oh, another pregnant.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Okay. You can tip him, right?
Sure, I'll take it.
Where's Harvey Weinstein? Harvey. Marty, you said you wanted some. All right.
They'll name 3 names for your lady parts.
Mini Moo, a JJ, and a pizza. Mini Moo is when you're describing it to a child. The JJ is like, hey. And a pizza is like when someone's nasty.
Word.
Then you add in clips of Ellen casually bringing it up in different settings, and suddenly people are paying attention in a whole new way. When you stack that with the Diddy connection, overlapping social circles, the sudden move overseas, resurfaced timelines, and now Erika's name getting pulled into more serious conversations, it all starts to feel tightly linked. And just when it already feels like too much, another layer gets pulled in. People began looking at those closest to Ellen, including Steven Twitch Boss, her longtime DJ and someone who was always right there on her platform. His passing was officially ruled as self-inflicted, which deeply shocked a lot of people. What followed brought even more questions, with no clear answers, only speculation from some who wondered if he might have known or seen something he was not meant to see. That is where things start to feel even heavier, because once speculation like that enters the picture, it spreads fast and pulls in even more attention. Still, there has been no verified evidence backing those kinds of claims. And that part often gets lost as the conversation keeps growing louder. What keeps people locked in is how all these moments, names, and timelines seem to overlap in ways that are hard to ignore. One detail leads to another. One connection points to the next, and before long, it feels like everything is tied together, even when clear answers are still missing. At the same time, it is important to separate confirmed facts from assumptions, because not every theory holds up under real scrutiny. But that has not stopped people from continuing to dig, revisit old clips, and question how these high-level circles operated behind closed doors. And as more pieces get revisited and re-examined, the pressure for clarity keeps building. because people are no longer satisfied with surface-level explanations. They want to understand how all of this fits together, if it even does at all. Nothing has been confirmed. But the fact that these questions are even being asked says a lot about where public trust stands right now. And the online community is definitely not staying quiet. People are speaking up, sharing opinions, and some of those reactions are intense. One user wrote, "I still think somebody else is responsible for his situation." Another said, "I'll never believe the official story, ever." And all of it keeps circling back to the same point. Erika Kirk, the name that stayed in the background for years, is now sitting right in the center of a conversation she was never expected to be part of. That shift alone has people paying attention, because it did not happen randomly. It built up over time, piece by piece, connection by connection. If Ellen really did have insight into those spaces, and if she was moving in those same circles, and if details are only now starting to surface, then the timing around Erika's situation starts to feel less like coincidence and more like something catching up. So now the question is not just what happened on that island. It is who already knew and who might be feeling the pressure now that these conversations are no longer staying buried. If you made it this far, hit that like button, subscribe, share this with someone who needs to see it, and drop your thoughts in the comments. See you on the next one.